Experiencing a medical emergency, you can press on that yellow strip. That's going to notify me, and I will do my best to assist you. Now, I see a couple confused faces right behind me. You guys don't have a yellow strip, but that's okay. Just wave at me, get my attention. Or have your neighbors right behind you press on their yellow strip. And once again, I will do my best to help out. Now, if we drop an item off of the tram, this is not considered a medical emergency, so please do not press on that yellow strip. Instead, keep track of where you dropped it. Let me know at the very end of the tour, and me and my team will do our best to get it back to you as soon as we can. Now, speaking of devices, make sure they're on silent, as well as keeping our things inside the trams. Again, if we drop them, I can't get them. And then our voice is nice and low. We're going to get fairly close to some wildlife, so we want to do our best not to scare them off. And last but not least, please stay seated while the tram is in motion. Thanks, friends. Now here on your left-hand side, this is our East Africa habitat. We will be coming back around towards the end of our tour, so don't worry, we're not missing out on anything there. And with all of that out of the way, I should probably introduce myself. Hello, everybody. My name is Olivia. I'll be your tour guide. Ooh, hey, guys, remember to keep your voices down. I know we're excited, but we don't want to scare them. My name is Olivia. I'll be your tour guide and driver for the next 25 minutes. When we go out into the African savannah, take a look at some wildlife and the ways that they adapt to their environment around them. Now, by a show of hands, is anybody's first time here? Oh, yeah, a couple of you. Hi, guys, welcome. And those of you returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming into one of our two front doors here today at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Our other front door is our sister zoo down in Balboa. Now, by coming in today, you guys are actively becoming allies for wildlife and helping us ensure a world where all life thrives. So thank you. Now, as the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, we work with 8 conservation hubs all around the world. We'll be visiting at least 2 of these hubs today, the African Savannah Hub, as well as the Southwest Hub, which is actually here in our own community. So, if you keep your eyes peeled all around you today, especially up in the sky, I guarantee you'll see some native wildlife, especially native turkey vultures. We have plenty of native turkey vultures that love to just soar around on clear days like this. Now, those turkey vultures are super duper important to their ecosystem because they're what's known as a keystone species. And we're going to be talking a lot about keystone species today on our tour, so it's important to know what that means. A keystone species is a species that's crucial in maintaining a healthy ecosystem. So if you were to take them out of their ecosystem, nobody else around them would really thrive. Kind of like a missing puzzle piece. Now we have more vultures here on our left-hand side. These are African vultures. We have some Cape vultures with those white feathers and brown underneath, some Rupel's vultures with those black and white speckled feathers, as well as lappet-faced vultures with those brown feathers and pink bald heads. Now, vultures as a whole have adapted with those bald heads and strong stomach acids and wide wingspans, so they're able to soar over their homes in search of carrion. Now, carrion is expired animals that others no longer can or really want to eat. But since the vultures have adapted to eat that rotten flesh, they actually stop the spread of diseases like tuberculosis or rabies. So though they don't have the best reputation, they're crucial in keeping a lot of wildlife that we'll talk about today safe and healthy, including us, again, here in the Southwest Hub, those native turkey vultures that make sure we stay healthy as well. So a great way to help them out is by cleaning up after ourselves. It's really easy, just picking up any trash we see along the way, making sure we don't leave any extra trash behind. Now this is going to help reduce the amount of micro trash we have in the world. Now those are those tiny pieces of plastic, metal, or even glass. And these are harmful because if a vulture accidentally consumes this micro trash, it can get stuck in their throats and it can make them really sick. And since they do so much for us, it's only fair that we help them out too. Now in just a second we're going to come through a little gate here and we're going to enter our South Africa habitat. And then coming up here on your right hand side, we have the bird marsh, where we have some more feathered friends. We have a couple different species of pelicans, some African crown cranes, some yellow-billed storks, and my favorite are the 2 little swans that live in here. Now those swans, as well as the African crown cranes, are monogamous, so they find one partner for their life. It's really sweet. And they usually always hang out next to each other. Now we're going to continue to cruise. Once again on your right-hand side, we're going to see the first of many antelope species with those white coats and those curly horns here. These are addax. Addax are known for those white coats, and it's going to help them stay cool in the hot summer months. It's kind of like when we wear like a big flowy white t-shirt or dress on a hot summer's day. It kind of helps keep us cool. Now they're really neat because when they get in the colder months, their coats start to get darker and thicker, so they can help retain more of that heat. Now here on your left-hand side with those lavender-colored coats, long, sharp horns, and what they're known for, the threat mask on their faces, which are those black and white patches of fur. Now these are Hemsbok. Now a lot of different wildlife are going to communicate with different colors in their coats, especially black and white. So what that threat mask is going to say is it's going to hide their natural eyes, it's going to make their horns look even longer, as well as make them look a little bit bigger, a little bit more intimidating, so that way if any other antelope or even a predator want to size them up, they're going to think they're larger than they actually are. Now, speaking of large, if you go up towards the top of the hill here, kind of following that dirt path around, with those large tan bodies and corkscrew-like horns, those are one of the largest species of antelope. These are Patterson's eland. Now, they can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. And when they're standing up, from their shoulders down to their hooves, it's about 6 feet tall. Now, that's how big a brand new baby giraffe is when he's born, so it's good to put that into perspective. Now as we cruise, there's also some tiny little springbok up towards the top of the hill with those tiny tan bodies and black racing stripes there. Now it's neat when the Patterson's eland and the springbok are next to each other because they're one of the largest and one of the smallest species of antelope. And you could really check out the size difference there. Now as we cruise on forward, we're going to check out a bunch of these trees here in this little valley. And I want you to notice their size. Now these trees almost have a canopy-like shape. Well, this is due to another keystone species that live out here in our South Africa habitat, our Tower of Maasai giraffes. Now we're going to see them in just a second. But they're keystone species for a couple different reasons. The first reason is the way that they eat in those trees. So all of those trees have that shape because the giraffes lead up to their heights, and this will create shade and structure for a lot of wildlife, as well as more room at the base of those trees for new vegetation to grow for them to eat. So not only is it nice, secure little homes and shade, but it's also food, which is really important out in the savannah. Now we're going to come up closer in just a second, but I want you guys to notice all the adults here. And one of them looks a little bit different than the others. Now that is Gowan. He is the male Maasai giraffe. Now he looks different from the females, and that's because they're what's known as sexually dimorphic. Again, this just means the males and females look different from each other. Now Gowan there, he is taller than his female counterparts. He stands about 18, almost 19 feet tall. But he's also darker. Now he's darker due to an excess of testosterone he gets as he ages. So the older he gets, the darker he gets, which is basically just letting the ladies there know that he's mature and ready to start a family, which he has successfully done because we all see the baby out there, right? Look how cute he is. Now that's our newest baby boy, and I want to say he's a little over a month old. It feels like he was born yesterday, but he's been here for a little bit, getting used to life out here in the savannah. Now the second reason why they're a keystone species is their eyesight. So if you look at their big, beautiful eyes that they have really great vision. They can see up to 2 miles. And what they're going to do is they're going to keep an eye out for any danger all around them. And if they see any danger, they're going to start running. Now this is going to alert the other wildlife in the area that danger is nearby and that they should probably start running too. So it's really important to keep the wildlife here safe and healthy, especially these giraffes, not only because they're really cool, but also they're very helpful for the wildlife around them. And this is incredibly important because they're what's going through a silent extinction. This means that one year scientists took a look at their numbers and they were doing really well, so they decided to take a step back and kind of let them do their own thing. But then a couple years later, scientists checked back again, and they weren't doing as high. So this is where you guys come in. There's a website. It's called www.wildwatchkenya.org. Look at her tongue. She's so cute. This website will send you a bunch of pictures out in Kenya, and all you have to do is tell the computer or your device if there's a giraffe in that photo or not. It's really simple, right? It's like Where's Waldo, but for giraffes. Well, this is going to collect all that data and send it to the scientists out in Kenya so they can figure out exactly where these giraffes are living and how they can help them out from there.
Bye, giraffe.
Now, more things that we helping out are over here on your right-hand side. These are our Somali wild ass with those lavender-colored coats and those black and white stripes that go up to their knees. Now, they're the most endangered animal species we have on the tram path. There's only about 100 or so left in the whole world. Now, they're endangered due to civil unrest. So our goal is to hopefully one day reintroduce them back into their natural habitat. We do have to wait until it's safe to do so. So until then, we're going to keep their numbers high. We had 2 baby boys born this year, and keep them happy and healthy until hopefully we can one day bring them back home. Now, they're no stranger to communicating with those black and white colors in their coats. They have those stripes I mentioned earlier. That's called a follow me mark. And it's super helpful. If one of them gets separated from the rest of their herd, all they have to do is look for those black and white stripes through the tall grasses, and it's easier to identify and reconnect with their family there. It's kind of like if you've ever seen a school group or maybe a family reunion and everyone's wearing all the same matching t-shirt. Just in case somebody gets separated, all they have to do is look for a group of people wearing neon orange, and it's easier to reconnect with them that way. It's the same idea. Now we're going to start heading up this hill here, and we're going to loop around the Central Africa habitat, so keep your eyes peeled over to your left-hand side. We'll go ahead and stop once it's safe to do so. But over in the shade there's a couple different wildebeest. Now they're a little tricky to see because of all the trees, but if you peek through, they do have 2 babies that were born a couple weeks ago, which is very exciting. Now wildebeest are really cool because they will actually sync their cycles up together, so they kind of get pregnant all at the same time, so they can give birth within a week or so of each other. So all of those moms can help protect and take care of all of those babies together, because it truly takes a village. And not only is that represented in us and how we take care of our families and our kids, but also in wildlife all around the world. Now over here on your right-hand side, this is our African Forest Hub. It's another one of those 8 conservation hubs we work with all around the world. Now the wildlife that live in here are a little bit different than the ones we talked about earlier. So instead of having bright white or dark in their coats to communicate and stand out, most of them actually have this beautiful red, kind of rusty color to their coat, because their main defense is to hide. So that red coat is going to help them blend in almost perfectly with the dense forest and the lush grasses out in the African forest, because their predators are red-green colorblind. So I normally like to play a game of hide and seek. Raise your hand if you can see anybody living out here. Yeah, I've got a couple hands. If you follow that dirt path, there are 2 red-fronted gazelles. They're really tricky to spot, but one of them is wagging her tail, so you can kind of see her when she's moving. We also have red lechwe out there, as well as bongos, and what they all have in common, other than that beautiful red coat, oh, there's some bongos up towards the trees. That's so exciting. The bongos are my favorite. It's a lucky day, you guys. I rarely see the bongos. They come out like once in a blue moon. But, what was I saying? Oh, they all blend in perfectly with that dense forest and lush grasses. And so it's super important to keep their homes nice and lush so they have a place to hide. That's their natural defense. And right now their homes are being destroyed due to coltan mining. So what does that have to do with us? Well, coltan is a mineral that's used in our cell phones to help control the circuit flow. And I'm not saying throw your cell phone away, that would be a little silly. I'm just saying if you have an old one lying around, think of recycling it. By recycling your old cell phones and that coltan mineral, it'll give it less of a need to mine for more of that mineral. And we have a recycling station here, as well as if you talk to your phone provider. Normally they have good deals if you bring in an old device. Now this is helpful because it's going to cut back the mining and their homes are going to be able to replenish themselves again so they once again can feel safe. And it's not just the red lechwe, bongo, or the red French gazelle I talked about earlier, it's also okapis that it helps out and mountain gorillas. So it's really important to remember that even the stuff we do here affects wildlife all around the world. Now these guys sitting under the shade there with those large tan bodies, those black fret masks that we talked about with the Hansbach and curved-back corns, those are roan antelope. Now they're not sexually dimorphic, and this is due to a lack of resources out in the wild. So they need water every 24 hours. And to put that into perspective, us as humans, we can go up to 3 days without water, and we have it just a little bit more accessible than they do. Now because of that, both the males and females need to have those large tan bodies, those black fret masks, and curved back horns in order to defend their water source. Now here on your left-hand side, we have a couple friends hiding in the trees, so keep your eyes peeled. We have those wildebeest. You might be able to see the baby. I can't see it from my angle, but you might have a better angle than I do. But there's also a grudge. Oh, I do see the babies. They're next to the two mamas eating at the trough closest to us. I'll go real slow so we can look. They're sitting next to each other, facing different ways. Here, I'll try and find a good place to stop if you guys want to stand up and try and get a good look at those babies. It's kind of tricky. If not, I'll continue to cruise, but they're right before the shadow hits. They kind of look like rocks. They have this tan color to their coat instead of that like black gray that the mom wildebeest have, so they are really tricky to see, but they are very precious if you do get to see them. The zebra there I was talking about, sorry, I get so distracted. He's one of the largest species of zebra, grubbies are, and they have the closest knitted together stripes. Now those stripes they use as a form of camouflage, but instead of camouflaging to their environment, like the animals in the African forest do, they want to camouflage to each other. So when they stand in a big old herd together, this creates almost like an optical illusion. So it's easier for them to blend in together. It's harder for any other wildlife, especially a predator, to differentiate which one's a standalone zebra. Now this is called disruptive camouflage or disorienting camouflage. Now as we disappear through these trees here, I want to talk about them. Over here on your right hand side, we have over 900 acres of California coastal sage scrub and chaparral. You might spot some native wildlife in there like mule deer. But we have over 900 acres of it reserved because it's one of the most endangered habitats in the continental U.S. and its home is here in the southwest of. So a great way to help it out is by planting native plant life in your own community. So we're going to pass some little sumac. This plant has taco-shaped leaves and little flowering bulbs. Now this one's super helpful not only because it's food and home for a lot of wildlife, but it's also drought friendly, so it's going to collect the morning dew in its taco-shaped leaves and trickle it down to its roots, giving it all the water intake it needs for the day. Another good one is milkweed. This will attract native pollinators like bees or butterflies. And over here on your left-hand side, we have our gang of Cape buffalo. Now they also use that dark color in their coat to communicate, but different from the Maasai giraffe, instead of attracting, they actually want to repel. So they're going to use that dark coat kind of like a stop sign. It's going to emphasize how big they are and tell other wildlife in the area that they're large and in charge and you don't want to mess with us. Which is in everyone's best interest because they're one of the few species that can successfully take down a lion. They're going to do something called mobbing, where they'll stand in a lineback formation and they can successfully flip over their predator with those beautiful curved inward horns. So they're very family oriented. If you mess with one of them, you mess with them all. And as we cruise on through, we're going to say hi to those Patterson's eland antelope we saw earlier on our tour. And it looks like they're hanging out in the sprinklers. That sounds like a good idea. It's already warm today, huh? Now, being so large, they need a way to cool themselves off. Out in the wild, they don't necessarily have these sprinklers to help them out. But they do have dew laps. So if you look at their necks there, they have an extra tuft, or it looks like an extra tuft of fur. It's actually an excess slab of skin. And it works a lot like a radiator. So when they get too hot, they're going to pump all that hot blood to the thin skin of the dewlap. The ear's going to cool that blood down, and then they're able to pump the rest of that cold blood to their body, regulating their body temperature. Now here on your right-hand side towards the top of the hill are the only domesticated species we have on the tram path. These are Ankole cattle. Now they're raised not for their meat, but instead they're raised for their milk and their size. So the larger they are, the larger status that their farmer has. And those horns that they have, not only are they beautiful, but they can go up to 6 feet wide, which is insane. And you'd think that it would be really heavy, but they have this really cool honeycomb-like structure on the inside, and that's not only going to help those horns stay light, but it's also going to help them stay cool out in the hot sun. Now it's really cool to see different ways that wildlife adapts not only to keep them safe, self, and thriving, but also to keep others as well. I know we talked about the giraffes as well as the vultures being keystone species, but our zebra friend that we saw today is also a keystone species. And this is because if you see all this grass here on your right-hand side that's all cut back, this grass is native to Africa. Now when it dries up, it actually becomes a fire hazard and it calcifies, so it's really difficult to remove. But since zebras have such muscular jaws and really strong teeth, they can actually rip up the plant from the root, creating a break in that fire hazard, as well as creating new room for, or new vegetation to grow for other wildlife to eat as well. So it really goes to show how important these keystone species are, and they can be as tiny as a little bug to as big as the giraffe we saw today. So it's important to keep friends in all shapes and sizes safe and thriving. As well as to remember that us, no matter what age we are or where we come from, we all can help out the world we live on. Again, by coming in today, becoming a member, buying any food or souvenirs, you guys are actively becoming allies for wildlife and helping us ensure a world where all life thrives. So thank you guys. Now we did talk about 3 of those 8 conservation hubs. We talked about our African Savanna Hub, our Southwest Hub, and we saw the bongos out in the African Forest Hub, which is very exciting. If you guys are interested in checking out another hub, we have our Australian Forest Hub towards the very top of the park, where we actually have the only 2 platypus outside of Australia. So if you haven't gotten a chance to say hi to them, I definitely would suggest it. Now back over to the wildlife at hand. Here on your right-hand side, we're going to loop through East Africa one more time before we go back over to the station. But we have quite the party going on. So we have more roan antelope that we talked about earlier. We also have some common giraffe up in the back there. I want you guys to notice their spots and patterns and how no 2 are exactly the same. So they communicate this way. It's kind of like our fingerprints. No 2 are exactly the same. And they can look at each other and go, hey, that's my best friend I've known my whole life. Or you know what, that's my neighbor I don't really want to talk to right now. And they know who to avoid. Whereas rhinos, on the other hand, these are southern white rhinos hanging out over by the trough and under the palm trees. They're going to communicate differently. They're going to communicate through a sense of smell. So they're going to smell what's called a dunmidday. Now this is a very polite way of saying a pile of rhino poop. Ew, I know. But they can smell that dunmidday and they can tell who's been in the area, if it's a male, if it's a female, if the female's ready to breed, if anyone's been sick lately. Kind of like their own social networking. I don't know about you guys, but I'm happy that we talk to each other instead. You may notice that their ears are kind of flicking and moving around. Well, they have incredible hearing, and that's to make up for their poor eyesight. So they can hear all around them, kind of like surround sound. Oh, we got a whole bunch of them heading down the hill here. Now we are over our time limit, so I can't stop and stay, but I will drive nice and slow so we get good looks as we head back over to the station. Now once again, my name is Olivia. If you have any questions, I'll be towards the very front of the tram at the end of the station waving goodbye. I hope you guys learned at least one new thing about any adaptations these wildlife have to survive out in the wild, as well as I'm sure I talked to you all about keystone species and why they're so important, or any of those action steps that you can take at home to help out the world around you. Again, by just cleaning up after ourselves is a really good one. That website for giraffes is www.wildwatchkenya.org. It's also linked on our website there, so it's easy to find. Planting any native plant life is a great one, or if you have an old cell phone lying around, recycling it is super helpful as well. Now as we pull into the station, we are going to stop and you guys are able to get out. So if you guys reach over on your right hand side and your right hand side only. Again, once I'm completely stopped, you guys can push those little black knobs towards the very front of the tram. This is going to unlatch the door, and you guys are free to have a wonderful rest of your day here at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Thanks, friends. Bye-bye.